film started that me and Johanna was interested about the idea of censorship and who really controlled the images. And from this idea we start doing interviews with different people, asking them about who do the censorship. And we will never get two answers with the same, for the same question. Every answer is different than the other one. So some of the interviews was, some of the people we interview were saying that the one who is responsible for the censorship is the editors. And some were saying the head of the photography department, others were saying secretary of Mubarak. And one of our interviews was the head of the photography department inside the building of Al-Ahram. And once we get into the building, first time, me and Johanna, at that point we decided that our film will be shoot entirely inside the building, because it gives us a kind of answer of this open question: who censorship the images? It's the machine, it's the newspaper, which the incidents take place out of it, and then it goes to this big machine and it filtered through someone, and then it goes to the people with the way that the state and the government need to approach the people with it. And to get access to the building, we spent 3 months to get the access to film inside. And I remember I used to go there on a weekly basis, asking like, is it yes or no to shoot? And they were really kind of don't understand what we are doing. And for them, okay, Egyptian documentary filmmaker and a German visual artist, and they're doing a film about photojournalists, and they need to shoot inside the newspaper. They have no clue what we are really doing. So after the 3 months, they say no, you are not allowed to shoot, and then they say yes, okay, you are doing an art project, so it's fine, shoot. And then before the shooting was few days, they said, okay, you will not be able to shoot except if you pay money per shooting, per day. That's why we shoot the entire film in 3 days, 16 hours per day to finish the shooting of the film. So it was quite tough and hard to get access, and I remember every shot we take, there were a guy from the PR, public relation, next to the camera, checking what we are really filming.
And also because of the fact that there was a lack of governance, governmental forces there. It was when Mubarak was no longer in the power, so there was no one that the officers or the chiefs there could ask anything about. They had to decide for themselves, and in this paralyzed state, this was the perfect opportunity, and they succeeded, and we succeeded in getting an access. And although they were really very suspicious, with the film crew there was always like a person, a PR responsible person following them and showing them, but also being suspicious about what are these people doing. Are they going to do something in favor of us, or that would present something against us? But again, there was no one to order them, which they are used to, These people don't get inside or let them inside. That was like the perfect opportunity. So right time, right place kind of scenario.
I think the visual by itself, it could give you the impression of how it is manipulating, how it is corrupted, how it is censorship. By the security you see in every floor, by the elevators open and close, by the cameras everywhere. But they don't understand this. They used to understand, okay, if you need me to look bad, maybe you will ask me for an interview, but we never ask someone of them for an interview. Or maybe you will put some stickers or something very direct to reflect our ideas. And I think that's what's the film maybe exists through time somehow. This film was done 1 year or 2 years ago, finished Jan 2013, so it's almost a year and a half. And I think the film you could watch it in 5 years, and you could relate it to Romania, and you could relate it to somewhere else, because it have creative elements which exists out of the building, but out of the country itself, and out of the region even. I was a part of the active scene, the politics scene, even before the revolution, with a year, almost. And I was even doing videos for one of the most important figures against Mubarak. And I remember every time we used to go to do these videos, I was always thinking that one day I would not go back home, I would go to the police station instead. But also what I remember that I don't have any film footage from the square. I was there all the days, but I don't have any filming material. Because I was always feeling that the incident and the situation was much, much bigger than me. And maybe I need time, but also to step back to reflect into it. Johanna also was almost sharing the same thoughts with me. We were feeling that all the people are filming the square next to us. Like we were always meeting meters away from the square where it was full of people. But both of us was feeling that maybe the revolution it's really on the air of Egypt. Even if we go to Sinai or to the south or the east, the revolutions exist. And maybe Al-Ahram, and to talk about the revolutions through photojournalists and how it developed, it was our way to reflect and to step back. So maybe it could be more deeper. That's what we try to do.
And also, like, from the abundance of these films that reflect a lot of, riots, tear gas, and blood, they get people really emotional until the point where they cannot carry any longer. And it's something that audience and the people who are part of this, right, they know it so well. Everybody knows what's going on. But what is behind it, really, behind this sensation? What did lead into what kind of facts did lead into this circumstance? What is the ruling system and how do they manipulate it? More gives an idea about that, because the rest you can fill it in by your own thinking, and just like a good storytelling and these still image, almost still. There's almost they are almost like photographs. They work more like a silent revolt. It makes a bigger. To me, it makes a much bigger impact than sensationalizing through, what we all know already.
No, I think it's something even bigger. But for example, in our region or in our place, like in Egypt, we have 50 to 60% of the Egyptian, they could not read or write. So this amount of less educated people, it's much easier to manipulate and to control. Even in Egypt, to be a TV presenter, you are more effective and more have influence in people than to be a governmental or a minister. And this is how they're trying to control our minds.
It's a problem of the world, basically. It's a problem of the world, but it becomes more vibrant in totalitarian regimes, because you have like a direct element, a very direct oppression coming from the state, and that makes it very easy to revolt. But I mean, Western countries, Europe, you see like that in a very self-inflicted way, actually. When you go to France, Germany, this censorship is done by individuals themselves. Their way of manipulating everyday life. When you sum it all up, or like if you go to United States, there's a different form where like the governments usually favor very small portion of the population and give them all the freedom, whereas majority of the population doesn't get enough rights with healthcare, with welfare system, and all that. this all tells me, or tells us, that actually the world is um, running out of options right now in terms of ways of governing a state. It's no longer answering the needs of people, where they have equal rights, justice, freedom of speech. In developed countries, in the democratic countries, or like totalitarian regimes, there is not much difference. That's why Europe is really very much interested in it, from one perspective, because they see it in this way, and this is the value actually of crop, because it's like a rather timeless piece of work, because it gives this idea of, you know, how institutionalized things are in reality.